Have you ever loved someone so deeply that it felt like your entire world revolved around them? I mean, truly loved them, the kind of love that makes you believe there's nothing that could tear you apart, no obstacle too big to overcome. If you've experienced that, then you'll want to hear this. Now, I'm not here to burst anyone's bubble or make you second guess what you know about love, but I have a story that might change the way you see things. And if you've already found that one person who's your everything, well then, congrats. You've got it figured out. But if you haven't, or if you've had your heart broken like I did, then trust me when I say, this story's for you. Grab a seat, get comfortable, because I'm about to take you through the wildest ride of my life. And hey, this isn't some fairy tale. It's real life. The kind that hits you when you least expect it and changes everything. Are you ready? Because I wasn't. My name is Luca and I'm 32 years old. I live in a small town in Pennsylvania, far from the bustle of the cities, where nothing ever really happens, or at least that's what I thought, until she shattered my world. Katharina. She was my best friend, my confidant, my partner in every sense. I thought we'd grow old together, side by side, sharing everything. But I was wrong. And the worst part? I never saw it coming. Before I proceed, kindly subscribe if you don't want to miss out on stories like this. I'm sitting at our old spot, the cafe down by the river. It's quiet now, the kind of silence that feels like a memory echoing back at you. The same place where Katharina and I would talk for hours, making plans for the future, dreaming up lives we thought we'd build together. The same place where I felt like the luckiest guy in the world, until everything fell apart. I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of my chest tighten. I stare at the photos scattered on the table, memories of a time I can barely believe ever existed. There we were, young, carefree, smiling. Katharina in every picture, her laughter lighting up the frame. God, I thought we had it all. But now she's gone. Not just from my life, but from everything we built. And it's all my fault in a way. I should have seen it. I should have known better. She was my best friend. My confidant. The love of my life. Or so I thought. Until that fateful day, she stole everything from me. The question that runs through my mind is the same one I can't escape. How could someone I loved, someone I trusted with my entire heart, do this to me? I thought she was the one who understood me better than anyone, the one who shared my dreams, my fears. But in the end, she wasn't just a part of my life. She became the one who tore it all down. And the worst part? She did it with a smile. It's hard to describe a bond like ours without sounding like I'm exaggerating. But then again, I suppose if anyone could understand the kind of connection Katharina and I had, it would be someone who's been there. We were inseparable as kids. We lived next door to each other, and I don't think there was a single day that went by where we weren't sharing everything, from the smallest of secrets to the grandest dreams. She was the one I'd run to when I got a bad grade, the first to hear my biggest hopes, and the person I'd sit with in silence when words just weren't enough. As we grew older, that bond only deepened. Katharina had always been the golden girl. Charismatic, intelligent, and effortlessly popular. She walked into any room like she owned it, but she always made time for me, quiet, introverted me. For the longest time, I thought our friendship was enough. But deep down, I felt something shift. We never spoke about it, but as we got older, I could see it in her eyes, and I knew she saw it in mine. We had feelings for each other, feelings we never dared to voice. Our lives were tangled so intricately that it felt safer to leave it unsaid, as though acknowledging it would unravel everything. We made plans for the future, to live in the same city, run a business together, and travel the world. She made me believe in the dream we'd built, the life we were meant to share. But that was before the world got complicated. And then, like an unexpected gust of wind, Liam came into the picture. He was everything I wasn't: charming, ambitious, the kind of guy who could walk into any room and immediately draw people in. An entrepreneur with a hunger for success that was contagious. I noticed him right away, and so did Katharina. At first, it was harmless. A few casual conversations here and there. I didn't think much of it. But then I started seeing her spend more time with him, even outside of our usual hangouts. I told myself it was just a phase. After all, we were still best friends. But my gut kept nagging at me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting between us. Her attention was no longer entirely mine, and that unfamiliar feeling settled deep in my chest. But what could I do? Katharina had always been there for me and I trusted her. So I pushed my doubts aside. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But the changes were hard to ignore. She began to pull away, becoming more distant with me. We no longer stayed up late talking about our future. When I asked how things were going, she gave me vague answers like she was hiding something. There was a wall between us now and I didn't know how to break it down. Then one evening I overheard her talking to Liam about our plans, our dreams. She spoke of our future, but now it was her future with him. She was confiding in him the way she once did with me, the way I thought she always would. And there it was, the unmistakable sting of betrayal. I should have said something, confronted her. But I didn't. I kept convincing myself it was just a phase, that things would go back to normal. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing, so I ignored it, pushed it aside, and buried the knot in my stomach. The doubt, the insecurity, the feeling of being pushed out, it was all too much, but I couldn't face it. Because in my heart, I still believed in her. I still believed in us. It was a normal night, at least I thought it was. I was sitting in the office, poring over some paperwork, when my phone buzzed. It was an email from a partner I'd been working with for months. My fingers froze as I opened it. It was a business proposal. The subject line hit me like a punch to the gut. Your business proposal, now launching. I blinked, trying to make sense of it. The email detailed a project. Our project, the one Katharina and I had spent countless hours planning, building, and dreaming about. But there was no mention of me. Not a single word. The company I thought I had built, the future I thought we'd shared, was now being launched. By Katharina and Liam. I felt the blood drain from my face as I scrolled down the proposal, seeing the sleek design, the logo, the branding, all the things we had talked about for years. All the ideas I had spent sleepless nights perfecting. The cold truth settled in my chest. Katharina had been planning this. For months. And I was nothing more than a stepping stone to her. To them. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking, but I had to confront her. I had to hear it from her. When she picked up, there was a long pause. I could hear Liam's voice faintly in the background, and I knew then what was really happening. She was with him. She wasn't going to deny it. Katharina, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. What is this? There was no hesitation in her voice. Christopher, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I've always loved Liam. And you, she paused, the words cold and biting, you were holding me back. This business? It was never meant to be yours. It was mine. I just needed to get there first. I wanted to scream, to lash out, but I couldn't. Her voice, so indifferent, made the words sink deeper. All the trust, all the history we shared, it meant nothing. Katharina, you used me, I whispered, barely believing what I was hearing. She didn't even apologize. It was never personal, Christopher. But this is my chance. And I'm not going to let it slip away. I've already made my choice. The phone slipped from my hand as she hung up. I sat there in stunned silence, feeling like the ground had just given way beneath me. She had taken everything. My heart, my business, and my future, all gone. The next few days were a blur. It felt like I was watching my own life unfold from a distance, unable to stop it. News about Katharina and Liam's new company spread quickly. The media was buzzing, investors were flocking to them, and their business skyrocketed. Meanwhile, my life fell apart. The betrayal stung in ways I never imagined. But what hurt most wasn't just losing the business, it was the loss of her. The woman I thought I would spend my life with, the one person who I believed would always have my back, had turned her back on me without a second thought. I tried to salvage what was left of my career, but every attempt felt like a wasted effort. People whispered, investors pulled back, and I found myself in the middle of a public humiliation I couldn't escape. The work I had put in for years, the future I had built in my head, all of it was gone. And there was no way to get it back. I spent days pacing in my apartment, staring at the walls, the weight of everything crushing me. I tried to pick up the pieces of my shattered dreams, but it felt hopeless. The loneliness was suffocating. I had nothing left. Katharina and Liam's success was a daily reminder of my failure, of my gullibility. I was a fool for believing in her, for trusting someone who didn't care about me as much as I thought. I sat in the dark one night, staring at the empty space beside me where she used to sit. A part of me wanted to let go, to walk away from it all. But another part of me couldn't help but wonder if I was just wasting my time, waiting for something that would never happen. I felt like I'd lost everything, my best friend, my love, and the future I had dreamed of. What was the point of continuing when the person you trusted the most has taken everything from you and walked away? Was I just a fool? Would I ever be able to trust anyone again? Would I ever be able to rebuild? Or had I simply lost the will to try? I didn't know the answer, but I had to find it. Because right now I was drowning in despair, and the only thing that kept me from sinking further was the raw, burning need for revenge. Months passed, but the anger never faded. It had consumed me, turned every waking moment into a fire I couldn't extinguish. I couldn't just let Katharina and Liam walk away with everything, with my life. I had been a fool, but I was no longer going to be the victim. I made a decision. I would take everything back, and make them pay for what they did. I didn't want just my business back. No, this wasn't about restoring what was lost. It was about justice. About making them feel the weight of their betrayal. I wanted them to suffer the way I had. So I began to plot. Slowly, carefully, in the shadows. I spent months learning everything I could about Katharina and Liam. Their routines, their weaknesses, their deepest fears. I studied their behavior, dissected every mistake they had made, and every vulnerable point in their empire. I reached out to people who could help me, people who had nothing to gain from their success. I rebuilt connections with former allies, people who had been pushed aside when Katharina's rise began. Together, we began weaving a web that would bring her empire down from the inside, quietly, unnoticed. Each piece of the plan fell into place with precision. I knew I couldn't confront Katharina head-on. No, that would give her time to react. This needed to be a calculated strike, one that would destroy her world without her ever realizing who was behind it. Every move I made, every action I took, brought me closer to the revenge I so desperately craved. I thought I had everything under control. I had been patient, methodical. I was watching them fall apart piece by piece, every move I made destabilizing their empire. Katharina's business, the life she'd built on lies, was beginning to crack, and it felt so damn good. I couldn't help but smile at the thought of it all collapsing around her. But then I uncovered something that stopped me cold. I had been gathering intel for weeks, digging deeper into Katharina's business dealings, when I found something strange, something I hadn't expected. It wasn't just business tricks or bad decisions. No, Katharina had been involved in something far darker, something much more dangerous. She hadn't just betrayed me for love or ambition. She had been hiding the truth about her ties to a powerful criminal organization. It wasn't Liam she was using him to cover up something much worse. Her rise in business? It was built on illegal dealings, money laundering, and shady alliances with people far more dangerous than anyone realized. As I pieced everything together, a sick realization hit me. Katharina had never loved Liam the way I thought. She was using him as a shield, a distraction. She had no intention of building a life with him. She was merely playing a dangerous game of her own. I had been so focused on my revenge, so determined to see her suffer, that I hadn't seen the bigger picture. She was already drowning in something far beyond the business I once shared with her. I knew then that my plan had to change. It wasn't just about taking back what was mine. It was about stopping her from sinking deeper into the darkness she had willingly fallen into. The plan shifted. I would expose her for who she truly was, not just a betrayer but a criminal. But I wasn't going to kill her business. I wasn't going to be the one to destroy her empire. No. I would make the world see the truth, expose her criminal activities for everyone to see. And when that happened, it wouldn't just be her career that would collapse. It would be her whole life. Her reputation, her future, everything she had worked for, would come crashing down. I spent days wrestling with the decision. I could destroy her completely, ruin her in a way she could never come back from. I had that power now. But the more I thought about it, the less I wanted to see her destroyed. There was a part of me that still remembered the girl I had loved, the one who once made me believe in a future. And yet, I couldn't forget the betrayal, the lies, the manipulation. The emotional weight of this decision crushed me. Revenge hadn't healed me. It never would. It wasn't about getting my business back, or even punishing her. It was about something deeper, about closure, about moving on. In the end, I made a choice. I would expose her. I would make the world see her for what she truly was, nothing more than a liar, a manipulator, and a criminal. But I wasn't going to let her completely destroy herself, not if she could still make a different choice. I let her live. But her empire? It crumbled in the public eye. Every secret she'd hidden for so long came to light. And as the walls closed in on her, I watched her fall. The revenge I thought I wanted didn't heal me. It didn't make me whole again. What it gave me was peace. The peace of knowing that some battles aren't worth fighting with anger. In the end, it wasn't the destruction of Katharina that freed me, it was the decision to let go. Katharina and Liam were exposed. Their empire, built on deceit, crumbled before the eyes of the world. Every secret, every lie they had buried beneath their success, was now laid bare for everyone to see. Their fall was swift and public, and I couldn't help but watch from the shadows, feeling a cold sense of satisfaction. Justice had been served. But the weight of that victory was heavier than I expected. I had spent so long plotting, so long consumed by the need for revenge, that I had forgotten to ask myself one crucial question. What will this cost me? As I stood there, watching the pieces of their empire fall apart, I realized the price of revenge was not just what I took from them, it was what I had given up in the process. My own peace of mind, my ability to trust again, my sense of who I was, these things had been stolen just as much as my business had. Revenge hadn't healed me. It hadn't made me whole again. It had only torn me down further. The darkness I had fought so hard to push away had become a part of me. I had been so focused on making them suffer that I failed to realize the toll it was taking on me. Now, with Katharina and Liam exposed, their world in ruins, I was left with nothing but the ashes of my own journey. There was no sense of triumph. No sense of victory. Just the painful understanding that I had allowed my pain, my anger, to consume me until I became someone I didn't recognize. I stood at the edge of a new beginning, but I didn't know where that path would lead. The road ahead was uncertain, and the future seemed like a hazy blur. What was left for me now? What could I build from the wreckage of my life? But one thing was clear, I would never fall for a lie again. Not from anyone. Not from myself. I would learn to trust again, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. I had to reclaim what was mine, not just my business but my sense of self. The final shot zoomed out, and I stood there in solitude, looking ahead, no longer consumed by revenge but by the painful but necessary realization that I had moved on. It wasn't just about what I lost, it was about what I had gained. The strength to leave the past behind and to step into a future where I could find peace again. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel the burning weight of anger. I didn't feel the need for vengeance. I simply felt free.